ZombiU was the premier launch title for the Wii U, at least in terms of third-party support, but I would argue as a whole. I finished the game, wrote a review for it, and pretty much never touched it again. When Steven and I did this year's Halloween special, he said if I could capture some footage for the ZombiU game for our podcast, that would be utterly fantastic. So I said sure thing, and away I went. It was only when I booted the game and saw my save file that I realized that I had actually not only finished the game, but I actually wrote a review for it. So I started a new save file and was instantly immersed in the game all over again. If you own a Wii U, this is a game you really should try as it uses the Wii U's gamepad functions absolutely perfectly. By far, the best feature of the whole game is the stunning audiovisual presentation. The atmosphere alone is second to none. There's a phenomenal sense of isolation and claustrophobia in every hallway, corridor, or even open space, because you also can't see. That's right, it's one of these games where the environments are extremely dark and you usually or typically only have a little flashlight with you, and I love that because the tension it gives off is amazing. The environments do a fantastic job of pinning players down narrow pathways and directly into harm's way. At no point do you ever truly feel safe. Even looking at the map or interacting with some of the in-game objects leaves you completely at the mercy of the zombies in the areas around you. This constant tension and pressure is what makes ZombiU just so much fun to play. The gameplay as a whole is quite simple. You listen to some mysterious person who is watching your every movement via citywide cameras. He'll ask you to reach certain cameras or certain places that are kind of off the beaten path, restore power, and a variety of other objectives. But strategy plays an important role in how you achieve said objectives without succumbing to the relentless zombie horde. At no point can you run into a new area guns blazing, or well, if you do, you'll be dead pretty much instantly. Players are rewarded for thinking about their current situation and taking out zombies one at a time, or using the environment to their advantage, such as funneling a group of zombies down a narrow path or through the only open door in the area. That way their numbers mean absolutely nothing and you can take them out one at a time. While the Wii U's gamepad has taken a lot of flack for being uninspired, I'll say this, it sure makes looking at a map far less cumbersome than having to access a menu or some on-screen minimap. You always have instant access to a variety of in-game items such as your flashlight, access to your backpack, being able to swap between weapons on the fly, and much more. It's true that some gamepad features may not be overly exciting, such as scanning for various objects in the environment, but it does help break the barrier between the player and the game world, and I really loved it. There are two distinct gameplay modes available, and both work very well. One, where you die, another nameless character takes their place and continues the quest or the adventure, or the other mode, which is sort of like a survivor mode because you only have one playable character. If that character dies, it's pretty much game over, and well, good luck with that. There is a two-player local multiplayer mode that works well and is fun, but sadly I never got to experiment with it for too long. It's a unique game of capture the flag though, where one player is a survivor and the other is a zombie or a zombie king. It's a shame this mode is only offline, but then again the game didn't do too well, so I guess it would be offline now anyways. When your character eventually dies, and believe me, they will die before too long, you have to retrace your steps and pick up their backpack in order to continue with your previously acquired supplies. While it was interesting in concept, this proves quite a chore after a while because situations will often arise where you simply cannot get back to that character, thereby forcing you to continue without any of the weapons or previously acquired items you've had. You also only have one shot at reclaiming your backpack, as if you die a second time, that character's backpack will replace the pre-existing one. While I think it was an interesting idea to have the second character replace the pre-existing character, sort of have, one at a time and then you have to run and get the other character's backpack, The problem with this is with the storyline, because these characters are all nameless characters, so you never really get to know them. Okay, that's a lie. They do have names, but you won't get to know them whatsoever. It's just you can basically cut and paste one for another and it doesn't really matter. And that does sort of bring the experience down a little bit, because you're not really going to care when one dies. In fact, I spent one time where it was just one after another was dying, and I didn't really care whatsoever. One of the first weapons you get in the game, well, actually the first weapon you get in the game, is the cricket bat. And honestly, it's how you're going to dispatch about 90% of the zombies throughout the game. But it's really bizarre, because I find the number of hits required to take down a zombie is completely random. Sometimes it's like 3 or 4, but then others it feels like you've been smashing on the guy's face like a dozen times or so. I also found bullets to be a little bit too scarce. It's sort of like, okay, why do I even have a gun when I only have 4 bullets for, like, you know, the first 5 hours of the game? That's exaggerating, of course, but I did find items to be a little bit too scarce for the most part, which doesn't really make it too interesting to have a inventory management system when you're not really going to have to manage anything. Overall, ZombiU has aged far better than almost every other Wii U launch title. In fact, it's a much better game than I remember it being. It's atmospheric, frightening, and extremely challenging. It can be found today for only a few dollars, and it's certainly worth picking up for anyone with a Wii U. You hear that, all you Wii U owners who picked up the system for Mario Kart 8 and Bayonetta 2? Go buy ZombiU. It's the perfect spooky game for your shiny new console. For the full written review, be sure to check out projectcoe.com.